Good evening to all of you. You know about we all are gathered here for the online webinar. Akkalkot Education Societies, CB Khidgis, Bashweshwar Science, Raja Vijay Singh Commerce, Raja JC Arts, College Akkalkot. On behalf of Staff Academy, Research and Recommendation Committee of our college and AQAC of our college, jointly organized online webinar on NEP 2020 and the importance of research. You know about that. The NEP New Education Policy 2020, it is the very explosive and very interesting things in all educational institute. For this webinar, the chief speaker, Dr. B. Srinagesh sir, Professor and Chairman, Department of Geography, from Osmania University, Hyderabad, and the President of this online webinar. You know about that, our Honorable Principal, Professor S.C. Advitot sir, and all coordinator of RRC Committee, IQAC Committee, Staff Academy, and all heads of the department and all teaching staff of our college. And heartily welcome to all of you. So for the starting of this webinar, so firstly, I invite Dr. I.M. Khairidi sir, the chief and the coordinator of the Staff Academy. Firstly, introduction of welcome and introduction of this webinar. Dr. I.M. Khairidi sir.
Thank you, Murumkar sir. Thank you, Murumkar sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good afternoon to all. I, Dr. I.M. Khairidi, Coordinator of Staff Academy, welcome you all to the webinar titled NEP 2020 and the Importance of Research, which is jointly organized by Staff Academy, RRC, and IQC today on 11th June 2022 at Google Meet. We have organized this webinar on online mode. First of all, I welcome Dr. B. Srinagesh, Professor and Chairman, Department of Geography, Osmania University, Hyderabad, who is the chief guest and chief speaker of today's webinar. Then I welcome Professor S.C. Advitot sir, the acting principal of our college, who is the constant source of inspiration for all of us for doing the academic activities in the college. I welcome Mrs. S.M. Paranjpe, IQC coordinator, and Professor G.S. Dabale, coordinator of RRC. Also, I welcome all the HODs of different departments, faculty members, CHB faculty of all departments, and those faculty members who joined the webinar of the other colleges. As you all know, the webinar is arranged by Staff Academy and RRC. Here, I want to tell you, sir, that the Staff Academy arranges lectures on various subjects for the benefit of our faculty. This year, the Staff Academy arranged the guest lecture of Professor Ashok Kadam of Shivaji Mahavidyalaya Barshi on 19th January 2022. The title of the webinar was Importance of Communication Skill. Then on 6th June 22, we have arranged a webinar of Mr. Pankaj of New Delhi on financial awareness. Both Staff Academy and RRC have committed for all-around development of the faculty members. RRC coordinator and members try their best to boost research culture and research-based activities in faculty members. Once again, I welcome all for the webinar, and today we are lucky enough that we have a very distinguished and renowned academician with us whose work spread all around. And he is going to talk on the title NEP 2020 and the importance of research. With these words, I conclude my introduction and welcome. Thank you for giving a chance to me, Murumkar sir, and thank you for paying your attention.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Khairidi sir, for your welcome and introductory speech. Now I invite to our staff member, the well-known speaker and well-known researchers of Kannada Department of Kannada Literature, Dr. G.S. Swami, to introduce our chief guest. Dr. G.S. Swami, sir.
Good evening, one and all. I am Dr. Swami GS, Department of Kannada. Now I am introducing today's speaker. B. Sri Ganesha, Sri Nagesha is head and professor of geography and director UGC HRDC Uthmania University. His research interests are in urban and regional geography, climate change, remote sensing, and GIS, critical geography. He has published 9 books and more than 47 research articles in various national and international journals. He is a recipient of prestigious fellowship or UGC Research Award 2015-17. He has successfully completed 4 major research projects sponsored by UGC, DST, ICSSR, and fifth project under progress. Professor Sri Nagesh has conducted 9 international conferences as a convener, organizing secretary since 2011, and also conducted several trainings and workshops for teachers and students in geography. Presently, he is a secretary, Indian Institute of Geographers, IIG, Pune. He was the executive member of IGU Commission on Local and Regional Development. He is the coordinator for outreach program of Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, IIRS, Dehradun. He visited 6 countries on academic pursuits like USA, England, Malaysia 3 times, Thailand, South Africa, and Sri Lanka. He is a life member to 14 professional academic bodies. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. G.S. Swami, sir, for your introductory speech about our chief guest. Now I invite our chief speaker, chief resource person, Dr. B. Sri Nagesh, sir, for deliver us his lecture on NEP 2020 and the importance of research. Dr. B. Nagesh, sir.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. At the outset, I would like to thank my good friend Dr. S.C. Adutot, sir, who has actually, asked me to give a lecture on NEP 2020 and importance of research. At the outset, I would like to congratulate him for being taking over as the principal of the college, and also the distinguished members who are present over here. So, as we all know that at every stage we have been, talking about the NEP and its relevance and its importance in terms of teaching and research. So, before going to the what actually the NEP, I would like to give you an idea of the higher education. The importance of the system of higher education and the what actually has gone through the last I would say that 30 years. So when we are talking about the higher education, so when we look at the 21st century characteristic features, we know that since 1990s the concept of globalization, liberalization, privatization, which has actually been the chief characteristic features of the development paradigm since the beginning of the 90s, influencing every nation and every sector of development, including higher education. So when the globalization has actually took place, it has given a kind of a, I would say that it has opened the gates of the world, be it in the economy or be it in every sector of the development, and even the what you call higher education. And if you see that this globalization has indeed actually has created a sort of brain drain for a country like India, because many of the our own children, they are looking at the West for the better, I mean, higher education and for better prospects. And here we need to think what actually, I mean, the cause or the reason for this brain drain. So the issue is here, the issue is that when we look at the gross enrollment ratio in terms of higher education, we can clearly see through this slide that India is way behind the countries what we see in this slide. It is only 26.3%, which is I think far less compared to the many of the developed countries, are including China, which is about 51%. So here the main target of NEP, which says that by the year 2035, India has to increase its gross enrollment ratio in higher education by 50%. So the question is that how this 24% of the increase from the present day by in another 13 years, I mean, what would the strategy to reach to this target of 50% in higher education enrollment ratio. So the thing is that when we are talking about this the gross enrollment ratio, we need to have what actually the current scenario of higher education in India is. So as per the 2019 what we call the All India Survey of Higher Education, it says that there are 993 universities, 339,931 colleges, and 10,725 standalone institutions, which are actually I mean been listed on the website of the this All India Survey of Higher Education portal. So the thing is that of these 993 universities, 385 universities are privately managed, and 394 universities are located in rural areas. And of these 993, only 16 universities are exclusively meant for women. So then, if we see the country like India, which has a population of more than 1.4 billion, and the institutions of not even 1,000 higher education institution, so how it is going to accommodate the, I mean, the students of this India, or you can say the youth of this country. So if you see that there are 548 general universities, 142 technical universities, and 63 agriculture and allied, 58 medical, 23 law, 13 Sanskrit, and 9 language universities, and the rest 106 universities are of other categories. So here, if we see the number itself says that the situation which is there, I mean, the we can say that the naturally the brain drain which is there, it is bound to happen, because when we do not get the the desired seat, I would say that, or the subject which a candidate wants to pursue, definitely he will look for other areas where he can pursue his higher education. And this is what actually is happening in the present context in Indian system. So here, if we see the aim of the NEP is to that the reforms that has to be taken up in higher education, and these actually relate to the access, equity, inclusiveness, and quality. So when we are talking in terms of access, the opportunity for admission to a large number of talented students with prerequisite knowledge and aptitude. So this is one of the important aspect of the reform which actually the government intended. So here, if you see, I mean, in spite of so much of development, we see that only about 31% of Indian population is urban, and 69% is still under rural areas. And so large part of, we can see the three-fourths of the population is still in the rural areas, and they are denied of access to the better education, or we can say the quality of education even today. So here, the giving the opportunity is one of the important aspect. That is one aspect. Then second one is that going by the social fabric of the society of India, I would say that Indian society, because we give the the reservation to different categories based upon their background. And here we see that many of the, or we can say the large number of people, they are actually out of this merit list, and they end up nowhere. So this access to quality, or we can say the opportunity to admission, has to be taken care of, and that is what the government is aiming for. Then we talk about the equity. So here the equity, it says that no talented person shall be denied access to opportunities in higher education on the grounds of economic and social backwardness within the constitutional framework. So this is very important. So we know that there is a lot of difference between equality and equity. So equality can be achieved, but when we talk about the equity, it is very difficult. So the constitution, when it has provided this concept of equity, we say that the no person should be denied based on his caste, creed, etc., or even the economy. So government has actually created a lot of opportunities in terms of giving equity to the all sections of the society, so that the talented people can come and pursue their higher studies. Then the question comes about the inclusiveness. When we are talking about the inclusiveness, here it comes about the students having different intellectual capabilities, belonging to different countries, states, regions, religions, communities, and different social backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and even the I would say that the differently abled students, or we can say the what we call it as physically challenged, and the students with the, I would say, the special needs, and also different disciplines, that is based upon the diversity of the subject or the knowledge that they study in the university. So these are very important, because if you see of late, we are seeing that we are giving more importance to the English language compared to our own, rather than our own what we call mother tongue or languages. Because the globalization has created such a platform that it has made English very, mandatory. Because without English, you end up nowhere, though you have the subject knowledge, though you have the domain knowledge of whatever you are studying, but lack of English language will definitely make a lot of difference when compared to the those who are having an edge over the English. So this aspect of the inclusiveness has been be the core aspect of the government in bringing out the reforms in the higher education. So then when we come to the quality relates to educational process and learning experiences of students, which ultimately lead to standards. So here, what quality we are, giving to the students. Because you see, when 20 or 30 years ago, the education system was totally different. But today, the access to the information is easy for the students, rather than compared to what was there 30 years ago. So there is a generational change or shift, what was there 30 years, or what was there 20 years ago, and what is there today. Because as we all know that the current generation, which is known as Z generation, who have more information on their hand compared to the at any given point of time in the past. So here we need to understand how this information can be channelized to the student, and how this information can be converted into the knowledge, so that the students can benefit, and students can can get the quality of education compared to the what information he has. Because he has lots of information, but he doesn't know how to get the knowledge from this information. And here comes the role of the teacher, who imparts this knowledge to the students, and converting the information and channelizing the information to the knowledge system. That is very important, and it is where the learning experiences for the students, which actually give them or which actually make them more qualitative rather than the quantitative. So if you see the NEP 2020, or the target rate of gross enrollment ratio for the 2035, it is about 50%. So here on one hand we are trying to quantify, but at the same time we are trying to give the quality in terms of what you call the standards, in terms of the what we call the students learning aspects. So here if you see, when we are talking about this access, we can see the quality which is there, the kind of curriculum which we are actually I mean not producing, we are formulating for the students. And apart from the curriculum, the because we see, you see, after the COVID-19, from 2020 onwards, we have seen that there has been a lot of sea change in the what we call as the educational system imparting the knowledge. And we have automatically shifted from offline to online. And now we have been what you call getting we have been almost all getting into the mode of NEP, where it actually advocates for the hybrid or blended learning system. So this to reach to that level, or we can say that to imparting the curriculum, the changes that are brought in, we definitely need the infrastructural facilities, because without infrastructural facilities it is highly impossible to give in the quality education to the students. And also the teaching methods that are being implemented, because the teaching method of earlier times, what we call it as a chalk and board method, it has been replaced by what we call as the the PowerPoint, or the smart boards, or we can say the present system which we are actually interfacing, like the online system. And we have seen that how many of the MOOC courses that have come out during the last 10 years, and and even the UGC, it has made mandatory to get the credits from the MOOCs, so that the what you call the method of implementation has to be a kind of a blended, where one can get knowledge of what interest he has. And then the assessment methods that are being used. So earlier it used to be the what we call as one way 100 marks paper would be there, one question paper which has short bits and long bits, and then you are assessed for one time in 12 months. But that has changed over a period of time. And you can see the OB when you're talking about the object based education, where we can see objective based education, where we can see the assessment aspect. They have actually incorporated the what we call continuous assessment test, where the kind of internal test, and the segregating the 100 marks into 20 80, or we can, sorry, 80 20 and 60 40. So this continuous process of assessment, it will definitely bring in the quality of the students and the standard of the course which he is doing. And apart from that, if you see the overall students learning experience, which we call it as the process, that is very important, because what the student wants and what we are imparting, that has to be known. Because we are telling something which is not of his interest, and if he does not tell what he wants, I think the degree which he is doing, it is of no use for him. So here, when we are talking about the standards, the students learning outcomes in the program, in the cognitive, that is the thinking, and the psychomotor, which we call it as physical activities, and the affective domains like the emotions, attitudes, and beliefs, which become the product. And see, first quality is the process, and the standards are the product. Because if you see the in the current generation, what we are seeing, they are more individualistic, and they are more isolated, and they are if you can see, correlate, if you can observe that many of the students, they are isolating themselves from the society. They are becoming individuals, and this actually have to be addressed, because otherwise in future it will be a very big problem for a country like India, where it is a close knit social fabric system which is there. And if you can see that each individual household, we are seeing this isolation of the students from this family and from the society. So here the emotions of the students need to be understood, the attitude of the student which he is behaving, that has to be understood, and what he believes, what he wants, that has to be addressed. Then only we can see the product, the output which is there, that will be more effectively. So here the thing is that the teachers have to design and implement the process in order to achieve the desired product. So if we if we see the IITs and some of the central universities, they actually they design the curriculum, they design the syllabus, and they try to impart the knowledge in a way where the candidate can go for further higher education, or he can be he can be access sorry he can be available to the market, where he can sell himself in terms of his knowledge, in terms of his expertise. So here the inclusiveness must be taken into consideration when we are imparting this or implementing the design, the process design and the implementation. Because some of the students who are coming from the different social backgrounds, they may not cope up with the what the design and the what the the curriculum that is being implemented, because it may not be of his cup of tea, what he wants to learn. So this actually is one of the biggest challenge and a serious issue in the country, where when we are talking about the inclusiveness of the what you call the education system, and the imparting of the standard quality is very crucial thing, and it has to be actually addressed at various forums. Because the people coming from the remotest part, they have the different orientation, and the people who are from the urban areas, they have a different orientation towards the education system, or towards the communications, or towards the access to higher education. So here when we talk about the reforms in higher education, from the that is in from the perspective of national and global trends, you can see that it is teacher centered to learner centered. Earlier we used to be teacher centered, now it has become a learner centered. Here the learner centered curricula, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary curricula has to be formulated, and that is what the NEP actually stress upon. This what you call the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary curricula, actually it is for the students to choose his own interest of the subject. And the concept of CBCS, choice based credit system, is basically an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach. And the NEP and the cluster system which is coming out, and the what we call as the ABC, the Academic Bank of Credits, all these are basically the learner centered oriented, and they are interdisciplinary, they are multidisciplinary in concept. And if you see that this ABC, you can see you can have your one credit of his own choice, one paper of his choice, and he can go out of the current parent institution, or he can choose from any other institution, or he can go for the MOOCs and get the credits of the course which he wanted to do. So this has really become a challenging task for the institutions and also the students, because for him it will be he will be exploring for better opportunities. But for the host institution, it is a challenge, because if they want to introduce that type of course which a student wants to have, then we need to upgrade the college facilities, and we need to upgrade the knowledge ability of the teachers, so that they can meet the demands of the students what they want. Then the other aspect is that the fully flexible curricula, that is core courses, elective courses, mandatory courses, and open electives, which we actually are implementing in the form of CBCS. But this flexibility has to be more wider open, and this definitely can be done through the total restructuring of the curricula, because the rigidity which we actually follow, that has to be changed. The mindset has to be changed, because the student, he will learn what he wants rather than what is being offered. So keeping in view of the student, as I said, the learner centered, we as a teachers, we as an institution, we have to change the mindset. We have to be more flexible. We have to be open for the suggestions, because if we say that if it is BA, candidate has to study only BA. If it is BSc he has to study only BSc, that is botany, zoology, chemistry, or botany, zoology, microbiology, etc., or maths, physics, chemistry, etc. But if you see the West, they actually, they give a scope where the student wants, he can take biology, he can take mathematics, and he can take geography. Or if he says he can take commerce, he can take economics, he can even can literature. So these things, the flexibility which is there, and the restructuring of the curricula has become very important in the present day context. So then, when we are talking about the reduced content with the emphasis on learning outcomes at higher levels in cognitive domain, that is thinking, then the psychomotor domain, that is physical activities, and effective domain, that is values, beliefs, and attitudes, that has to be very much implemented. Because the I would say that the rot, we say, or the rote which where just we impart the knowledge, students they get learn they by themselves, and then they come back to the examinations and write, they get the degree certificate. No, that has to be you see, we can create a kind of a flexibility where the student can actually get more of a practical experience compared to the the bookish knowledge, or what that being taught, or teacher centered. Because when we are talking about this learner centered, we need to keep the demands of the students, and we have to move forward. So here, this is actually the I think it has come in between. So if you take a look at this survey of higher education of 2019, a total enrollment in higher education has been estimated to 37.4 million, with 19.2 million male and 18.2 million female, and the female constitute 48.6% of the total enrollment. So you can see that it is the men and women, they are both almost all very near. So the higher education, if you see that 26%, 26.3%, which is calculated between the age group of 18 to 23 years, and it was just 0.4% at the time of the independence. So in last 70 years, we have achieved about 26 percentage of growth in the higher education. So if you see, when it comes to the scheduled caste, it is only 23%. Scheduled tribe, it is only 17% as compared to the 26.3 of the national cross enrollment ratio. So here, why we are discussing this is, it is mainly basically about the inclusiveness, mainly about the equity which we are talking about. Because every section of the society has to grow, and to grow these sections, we need to provide the access, we need to provide the equity, and we need to provide the what you call the opportunities by way of inclusiveness. And I think this would definitely going to happen by 2035. So then, when we are talking about the concept of national employability report, it says that only 18.43% of engineering graduates in India are employable for software jobs, and 7.49% are employable for core engineering jobs. So even though more than 90% aspire for such jobs, and you can imagine the situation of the arts and commerce and science graduates in this current situation. So when we are talking about the reforms towards the equity in higher education, the reservation policy of the government, which is there as per the constitutional provision to provide access to higher education, which everyone knows. So here, through the scholarships for socially less privileged students and meritorious students, this provision of that is the constitutional provision to get what you call the what you call equity in higher education. That is where the government is actually trying hard for bringing the equity in higher education across the country. And to support this, the scholarship that are being there, that are being provided, and the amount that is being given, it has become a debatable. So the question is that, are the merit scholarship adequate in number, and is the scholarship amount adequate for the study? This is one of the biggest question mark. But of late, I think, when we see the higher education scenario in India, and the concept of the scholarships that are being given to the students in terms of the UGC JRF and non JRF fellowships, I think they are they are moving towards this better quality of research and better standards of research in the Indian present scenario. So the question is how much number, because when we talk about the number, the quantity, it is definitely, it is not sufficient as compared to the total number of the students who are coming out of the colleges and the universities over a period of time. And when it comes to the amount, I think there is a kind of a what do you call assessment based upon the inflation, where they have been given the what do you call these fellowship amounts or the scholarship amount, which actually in a way, it is nothing but to give them the basic facilities to buy books, or to take shelter somewhere, or for the food, etc. So this is nothing but a move towards the equity by the government. Then the equity in large not of private institution, a large number of private institution which are commercial and charging huge fees. So as we see that there are 384 private universities of the what you call 990 universities, means one third of the universities are private institution. So the question comes here is that how many private universities they are following this inclusive concept, and how many of them are really supporting the socially and economically privileged people, challenged people, for the higher education institution, which is always debatable, because they are more focused, or they are more commercial compared to the other government institution. One of the I would say, I would like to quote that some of the institution where, if even the child does not go for one class, they will be penalizing 10,000 rupees. And in some of the cases, if more than one classes, if they are not attended, they are charging about 50,000 as fine from the students. So this is a kind of a rigorousness which that some of the institutions that are following. And if the socially challenged people, if they are, due to some of the reasons, if they don't attend the class, from where they are going to pay this amount is big question, and I would say that big debatable question. So then, coming to the equity, as we were talking about, is equity possible when the private commercial institution outnumber the government institution of higher education? This is also one of the biggest question mark. And there is no evidence in the world that commercial institutions have contributed to equity or inclusiveness quality in education altogether. So this is one of the important aspect that has to be noted, and that has to be observed in future, because the way the central state and central governments, they are giving permission for the private universities, one day I would definitely say that by down the line, 5 to 10 years, there would be more private universities rather than the government universities or the government institutions. So the question is that, is there not a need to increase the CSR funding to establish private non-profit universities which can promote equity? So the question is, how many people, or the how many companies are going to fund under the CSR? That is the questionable, and that is debatable. So here, the universities with public-private partnership, which are basically based on the no profit based, they are also welcome. But how many of such institutions would come is also one of the biggest question. So there is an urgent reform in this direction is needed to improve equity, inclusiveness, and quality in higher education. And right now, there are no trends in this direction. That is the biggest challenge we have. And in India, we know that no private institutes want to do charity. They don't want any kind of freebies to be given to the people. If this their only mantra is that you pay money and get the quality degree, that is what they say. So the question of quality is always questionable, because what kind of knowledge they are imparting, and what kind of the fee they are collecting from the students, that has to be justified, and that has to be addressed at various forums. So now, coming to the NEP features, which actually give us an idea about what the NEP wants to say in the higher education, that is very important to all of us. So when you're talking about the higher education will be transformed into a large multidisciplinary universities, or colleges and higher education institution clusters or knowledge hubs. So this concept of cluster systems, they are going to be the order of the day. I would say that down the line in 2 to 3 years. And to quote an example, in our own Usman University, it has formed a cluster of colleges, cluster of higher education institution, where the student can get 1 or 2 credits from other institution, where he wants to do that particular specialized course which is not being offered at his parent institute. Suppose if you see the now your KG, KDA college, if it does not provide suppose a course on financial technology in commerce, and some other nearby college, if they are providing that, the student would go there, and there he will complete his course and take the credit and come back to the parent institution. So these are going to be the order of the day, where the multidisciplinary approach and multidisciplinary universities are going to be the order of the day. Then if you see that the rationalized institutional architecture for higher education, that is being mooted out in this NEP, then we can see that the research what do you call intensive universities, and teaching what do you call intensive universities, and autonomous degree granting colleges, which are going to be the order of the day. From now on, maybe by 2030, most of the colleges that are there, they will be the self granting universities or colleges, where they'll be give the degrees to the students by themselves, because the NEP says that the universities have to be exclusive, either the teaching universities, or they have to be research universities, etc., rather than degree granting universities. So each college has to think on these lines, and they have to be autonomous degree granting colleges. I think your college also should be one of that, where you can grant the degree certificates to the students, because it is the biggest challenge. And when you go for the autonomous status, automatically you can formulate your own syllabus, you can formulate your own courses, wherein they are more I would say, I won't say profitable, they would be more marketable and student friendly. Then comes the phasing out the system of affiliated colleges over a period of I would say 15 they say 15 years, through a system of graded autonomy, as we say. So after 15 years, or we can say that 2035 or 2030, all the colleges will be autonomous degree granting colleges, and there won't be any kind of affiliation system as we see today. Then the broad-based multidisciplinary holistic education at the undergraduate level. So here, if you see the NEP, the policy of NEP in the higher education system, they are actually giving different degrees at different levels. And here they have given opportunity of multiple entries and multiple exits. If a student wants to pursue some course, he will join some course, and if he is getting better opportunity outside the parent institute or from that area, he would complete his 1 year, take the diploma, and he will go for a job or whatever her other studies, and again then he'll come back and he'll try to finish off his course. So this what you call the multidisciplinary holistic education, or you can say multi-level entry or multi-level exit, that will definitely give a new dimension at the undergraduate level, and it actually enhances the credibility of the student themselves by taking whatever the course they like, through the MOOCs or through the cluster system or the better institutions where they can get a better subject and they can fare well at the undergraduate level. Similarly, if you see that what you call integrated exposure to the science, arts, humanities, and mathematics and professional fields with flexible what you call curricular structures, they actually wanted to integrate this higher education system. And then the undergraduate degree either of 3 or 4 years duration with multiple exit options that we have just now we have discussed about it. So certificate after completing 1 year is a discipline in a discipline. So this actually will give an edge to the students whatever he wanted to do. As we said earlier, that it is basically a learner centric oriented rather than a teacher centric oriented. And if it is completing in 2 years, he will be awarded with diploma, so that he can get that diploma and he can go outside and get the job opportunities. And apart from that, the bachelor degree after 3 years program that is already there, and a 4 year multiple bachelor's program preferred options which are there, where you'll be having 1 year of the after 4 years. If you have 1 year, it will be of PG. That will actually will be a game changer for the many of the students. And then the as we say that the academic bank of credits shall be established, which would digitally store the academic credits earned by the students. So if you go to the UGC's academic bank of credits, the student can enroll in this ABCs. And if he is doing some course, suppose let us say BCom, commerce college, and he wants to have on taxation or law, taxation law, or we can say that he wants to have on course on financial technology. If the suppose the don't think otherwise, suppose the present college Kegde college is unable to give the course, or is unable to run the course in financial technology, he may move to the nearby college which is in the cluster system, and he can or he can do the course through the MOOCs, and he can get the credit system, and he can deposit in this academic bank of credits. I mean, if he's taken 1 credit or 4 credits from one institution, he will deposit in this in his bank, which will be counted at the end of his course. So this is one of the, I would say that the important aspect where the student can earn his own credits from through the concept of this cluster system. He can get the credits, and he can deposit that into his credit bank, academic credit bank of credit, and he can pursue whatever the further future courses he want to. Then the multidisciplinary education and research universities, which are meru which are being called, they are actually planning to set up these meru universities based on, because we have seen that many of the institution, they are actually what we call as the standalone institutions, or they are actually dedicated to the only one kind of education system rather than the multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach. And the best example we can say that the IITs, they are basically, they are into the only the engineering sector, but of late they are also opening the gates for the arts and commerce as well, and to the basic sciences. So here if you see the second aspect, that is the faculty and institutional autonomy, this is very important. And here we see the revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and the student support. These are very important in the important aspects of the NEP 2020 for the higher education. And the professional and academic career counseling which are there, that has to be actually imparted to the student, so that they can take a lot of benefit out of the institution which is giving them the degree or the diploma, or the whatever the credits they are getting. So here the all this, they actually require the financial support. And this for financial support, they have set up the national scholarship portal, which has been extended, and they have changed the what you call the criteria for getting the scholarships, unlike the RGNF fellowship which they used to get by simply applying. But now they have made it mandatory that those who want to get the scholarship, they have to clear the net. So I mean, this is nothing but they are striving towards the standards which they wanted to achieve through the this NEP. Then the reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership position, that is very important, because the integrity of the faculty and it is very important, because we need to retain the best of the minds for the betterment of the society and the students. So here, if we see, the important aspect is the National Research Foundation, which is the important aspect which we are going to discuss in this the NEP and 2020 and the research, because it is one of the important aspect which the NEP has put forth in terms of research for the in terms of the new education policy. So here the important aspect is that the open and distance learning has been expanded, like the online courses and digital repositories, and as well as the funding for the research, the etc. Through the MOOCs and also through the credit based recognition. So these are going to be implemented, and we as institutions, we have to be prepared for the changes that are being brought in by the government. And I think those because by 2030 all the colleges are going to be the I mean self granting degree colleges. So they have to be prepared for the changes that are going to happen, and the system and the college has to be so flexible, that they have to make the system so flexible that whatever the student want to, they have to provide it. That is going to be the order of the day, otherwise we are out of the race. And then the internationalization of education, that actually allow the entry of foreign students or foreign universities, and the faculty mobility. It is nothing but exchange of the bright ideas or bright minds, bringing in the foreign universities. Some may say that it is the privatization of the education system, and some by bringing the faculty, foreign faculty, who have more exposure in their own country, and they can share their experiences at the guest country where they are teaching. And also the students can get benefit out of the foreign teachers and the faculty mobility. They can understand, even the if one of if the one of our faculty is moving to one university for 3 to 6 months, he will gain more exposure by the to the kind of imparting of knowledge that the countries are doing, and the same can be practiced here in toto, if everything is in order, because we have many of the obligations regarding the implementation of the various courses. So then the thing is that how best we can get make it to the more learner centered, is that the light but tight, that is what the mantra is, where the regulation by single overreaching umbrella body for promotion of higher education. Because now we have the what we call UGC, AICT, NBA, etc., etc. We have other institutions where they are looking at different departments. So to keep in that, the government has formulated the Higher Education Commission of India, which actually looks after the all the, instead of now we calling UGC, we are calling the HECI, that is Higher Education Commission of India. Then if you see the funding for higher education grants, they have the different and accreditation system. You see by every college has to go through this NAC process, and this NAC process, based on this what you call the grading by the NAC, you will be getting the funding. That is very important. So that those days are gone where we had the laid back attitude, let it run, let us see what will happen. But no, the present situation says that you cannot relax, and you cannot still will be hoping on the past glory or past curricula which was there. The things have totally changed. So here the concept which where the higher education which it want to say is that the autonomous bodies which are there, they have to be more in number. The colleges have to be more in number, so that, because we have almost all 40,000 colleges where they are imparting the undergraduate levels, and that have to be self degree granting institutions. For that, they have to be prepared for with all the what you call the infrastructure facilities, the human resources, etc. And if you see uh, the other aspect is nothing but the formulation of the National Educational Technology Forum, which will look after the technological aspects. And the aspect for this is the promotion of online and digital education, which has already, I would say that, with before implementation of the NEP across the country or across the globe, everyone has shifted from offline to online, or we can say that the promotion of digital education is very much done, and it is being implemented, and it has been accepted by the society. And then the IITs, which are there, sorry, Indian Institution of Translation and Interpretation, they said that that has to be established, because the native language makes a lot of the education in native language makes a lot of difference. And this will be can be bettered, or we can say that this can be better furthered with the establishment of these institutions like the Institute of Translation and Interpretation. And then the government has been actually, if you see, they are insisting upon the ancient knowledge technologies. And we have seen how they are promoting these ancient knowledge technologies through various forums. And not only the technologies, even the ancient Indian languages, all languages, they are giving more important the access to the departments, to the what you call the country, the significantly they have actually strengthened it, and they are trying to implement the Pali language, the Persian language, Prakrit language, etc., for the to know what actually our past glory of India is. Because it was actually the language which was deciphered by British in the early 19th century, and with his translation, the glory of India was known. So these are very, complicated things which we need to address in this present situation, because we had the glorious past, we had the most important, what would say that the happening events across the country, compared to any of the parts of the world. So these the government, that the NEP that it wants is that the all education institution will be held to what you call they need to be have the similar standards of audit and what you call as disclosures, because every institution who are getting funded, they are liable for any kind of scrutiny. That is going to be the order there. So the thing is here that we need to be prepared for the challenges that are going to be they're going to come in near future. And that is going to be basically the students, they will be more demanding of what they wanted rather than what we are giving to them. So here the thing is that the the keeping in view of all these things, they have actually transformed the Ministry of Human Resource Development to the Ministry of Education. So these are some of the basic aspects of NEP. And if you see that the NEP says that IITs to become more multidisciplinary institutions, opening doors for humanity students. So here actually the IITs are the specialized institutions, but they are also shifting from specialized to multidisciplinary, because you see in IITs they produce a product, right? When they produce a product, that has to be marketed, and this marketing is done by none other than the commerce or the other group of people. So there it has become more important to have a multidisciplinary approach towards the institutions, and move forward to give toward to move towards a more holistic and multidisciplinary education, with more arts and humanities being included in these engineering institutions. And and many of the institutions across the country, like the IITs and other engineering institutions, they have set up separate buildings for these humanities and arts, so that they can understand the integration of the science and technology with arts and humanities. So because without the human touch, no product can be useful. So if you see that the NEP, it says that all higher education institution to become multidisciplinary institution, which we have actually which we are going to see. So by 2040 all the HEIs shall aim to become multidisciplinary institution, each of which aim to have at least 3000 or more students. And the large universities with several thousand students common in USA, which are actually they give more, they are more liberal to the courses, and they give what the student wants. So we in India are definitely going to see this trend with large universities. And the government, the NEP, actually it says that they wanted to increase the ratio, that is gross enrollment ratio in higher educations, by 50% by 2035. So these are all, the things that are to be taken note of. And when you're talking about the affiliation system, as we said that it is going to disappear slowly, and we see, and the more and more number of colleges that are there, they will be encouraged to achieve the status of autonomous colleges. I don't know your college is autonomous or not, but one day or the other, you to get the funding from the UGC or the higher education HICI, Commission of India, we need to be to move towards autonomous colleges. We need to get the grading, and based upon the grading we need to we will be getting the funds from the universities. So there will no longer be the concept of deemed universities, and all universities will be named universities and have the same status only. So we have the private universities, deemed universities, government universities, central government, state government, etc. So I think by over a period of 2040 there will be a common system known as universities, imparting multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary subjects with a larger number of students intake. And the accreditation of the college and universities is mandatory. So this is one of the important aspects where you need to get accredited by the NAC. And for NAC, you need to have, I know, I hope you all know that there is said there are 7 parameters that NAC actually sees. So I don't know your college has gone for NAC or not, but you see when you are going for the NAC, the 7 parameters which are there, and whatever you submit, the report, the as a self-assessment report, which SAR, which we say, that that gives you 80 percentage of marks, the weightage. And the visit by the NAC committee, it is only about 20%. Don't think that we can what we call impress the visiting team, and we can show the what we call the concocted, or we can say the where we have actually face masks, or we can say that makeup we have done for our data, and then we are showing it to the peer team visit, and we have submitted something else. No, when we do that, actually we'll be blacklisted. So when you are going for this accreditation, we have to be very careful, and we have to give the maximum information or input to the to the when we are giving the SAR, self-assessment report, when you are uploading onto the website of the NAC. So that itself determines the what you call the fate of the college or the institution. So when and to have this upgradation, or we can say the better ranking in the NAC, we need to have the research projects, or the research has to be what you call, it has to be given more importance, apart from the teaching and other activities. So the NAC, the NEP, they have in NEP they have created a called National Research Foundation, which they have established. And they actually tried, they have created a kind of a